Next, the Qataris are buying up London. This week, there were reports they intend to buy and develop Battersea Power Station. It's the latest in a long line of high-profile London landmarks they've bought. But while the investment might be good business for Qataris, is it good business for London? Jennifer Conway reports.
Qatar.
Last year, Qatar succeeded where Britain didn't in a bid to host a future Football World Cup. This small Gulf state, aided by huge gas revenues, has been booming in recent years. Indeed, according to some measures, it is now the richest country on earth. The country's royal family have been buying up London landmarks at a time when other buyers are hard to come across. They already own Harrods, have a majority stake in the new Shard Tower, and own nearly a quarter of Canary Wharf. Just this month, they were shortlisted as one of the 3 potential buyers for the Olympic Village and were rumoured to be about to make a move for Battersea Power Station.
So the economic slowdown in Britain and the weakness of the pound has, of course, made London an attractive place for many foreign investors to buy property. Gulf investors in general like buying real estate. They tend to be looking for long-term returns and to invest in these very prestigious and well-known locations like Battersea Power Station, where they are basically unique. You can see why they see a potential for really long-run returns.
But Qatar's ambition for the capital have not been without controversy. After withdrawing designs for the redeveloped Chelsea Barracks following a request from the Prince of Wales, many of Britain's top architects expressed their disapproval. But the signs are, for the moment at least, the Gulf monarchy's interest in the capital continues.
Ali Al-Safar is a deputy editor at the Economist Intelligence Unit. Thank you for joining us. Is there anything inherently wrong with one state, one family owning such large amounts of London?
Well, I mean, we have to keep things in perspective with what they're buying. There are some key infrastructural and, you know, there are marquee buys that they've been buying. The Shard just down the road, of course, Chelsea Barracks. It's not massive. It's more of a billboard for Qatar than anything else.
What if they suddenly cool on London? I mean, they're having a big impact here. What if the wind suddenly changes and they decide that perhaps this isn't the place to invest in the future? What will that do to the landscape of London?
Well, it could change it quite considerably, but I don't rate the chances of that happening very highly. The relationship between Qatar and London is quite an historic one, and they look at London as being a very historical city that they can project their image of Qatar for the future in, which is why we see a lot of development happening here that is Qatari funded and not in the United States. So it's an historical relationship, really.
But I want to look at the transparency within the country. I mean, it's run in a very different way to our country, isn't it? And in fact, if British companies wanted to invest in Qatar, it would be illegal in some departments, in buying land. That's very difficult to do there, isn't it?
Yes, it would be very difficult to do, and transparency has been an issue in the past. The vehicle that actually buys large swathes of land and you know, the kind of developments we've been talking about is quite it lacks quite a lot of transparency. The Qatar Investment Authority doesn't.
You don't see any repercussions from the Arab Spring spreading to Qatar?
No, not really. It's been it's been quite adept in handling the situation. It's actually handled it pretty well in Libya as well. It's quite stable.
OK. Ali Al-Safar, Deputy Editor at the Economist Intelligence Unit, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we invited a representative from the Qatar Embassy to talk to us, but no one was available.